Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about why we have to prioritize the things that we are bad at, what we're the worst at, if we want to be well developed and be truly strong. And I could use myself as an example, which again we tend to do on this channel, me or my clients. And in this case, I'm really bad at wide grip bench pressing. I have a weak chest. Now, people will say, well, Jason, your chest looks big. Well, it's like that's because I have an enormous rib cage. My rib cage is way above average for my frame size, and it always has been. And because of that, I can look like I have a massive chest even when I don't train it that much. Now, in this case, because when I returned back to training, I realized that, and because the bench itself has not been my favorite lift, I'm not always good at it. I have generally neglected my chest, and I've always done closed grip benching. I closed grip benched at my last couple meets, and I've generally trained the closed grip. And when I've experimented a little bit with wide, it didn't always go as well as I expected because I approached it wrong. But for me these days, when I look at all my other stuff, and I'll get into why we do this, because we need to understand the why. And we'll get to that in a minute so that you guys can honestly address your own weaknesses. In my case, it hurts. It's not comfortable. I don't like it, and I'm not good at it. I'm not good at the benching that's wider. And I have weak pecs, again, because I've neglected them. But I'm good at other stuff. All right, I squat mid-500s, raw, no wraps, no sleeves, planning on getting to 600 this year. I deadlift over 600 pounds, raw. I can standing press like 225, strict press that. Not a problem. My bench, like 335. Right? That is totally unacceptable. And it's because I've neglected what I am not good at. So in my case, I'm now having to put a massive priority on it. I've come to realize that for me, I have to stack a couple inches of meat on my pecs. That is the only way my bench is going to go up, and I've got to practice a bit of the wide grip. Now, I don't recommend people do a lot of volume with wide grip benching. I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm doing stuff like a semi-wide football bar for floor presses, similar things with incline bench, all these other tools, including doing flies. I don't normally do flies, but here's the thing. When we have a muscle group that's lagging, we better find ways to even do smaller exercises for it. We're going to have to do every rep range. Singles for big lifts on it, 10s, 15s, 20s. We're going to need to use a variety of rep ranges and angles. And that's what I'm doing. All that stuff, I do dips, tons of dips for it right now. Because it's my weakest link, I need to attack it from every angle, make sure that it gets hit properly through every part of the range of motion, and to use a wide variety of rep ranges. And I'm going to have to prioritize my chest if I want to have a good bench press, because realistically, the vast majority of people are going to have a stronger bench wide grip. I'm weaker with a wide grip, but it's because of a severe muscle weakness. Now, normally most people out there, the recreational lifter, would say anybody with over 300 bench is not weak. Yeah, but relative to my other lifts, it is. And considering that a lot of guys who are total bros have really good benches and are bad at the other lifts, it makes it look even worse. But I don't like it. I don't care about it historically, but I know that it's something I need to do to be fully strong, to be better as a lifter, and to be more well-balanced. I'm going to have to fix it. And we can't stand around and make excuses, because that's exactly what I do, and a lot of people do the same thing. I'll make excuses like, well, I could win powerlifting meets off my squat and deadlift alone, right? My bench doesn't have to be good. But that's a cop-out. I have long arms, so therefore benching is harder for me. Now that is true. That is true, and I could use that as an excuse. But I have a really big rib cage. It means I could build really, really big pecs across my frame. That will more than make up for my arm length if I actually do it. If I actually do it and quit being lazy. Okay? And that's what we do. We make excuses. Most people are guilty of this, but I wanted to use myself as an example so that people don't think that I am talking down to them or telling them that they're just lazy and making excuses. I'm like, no, I've done the same thing. Okay, I've done it, and I've did it for years and years here. and look at the results. I have a bench that everyone else is like, well, this person's smaller than you and they outbench you. And the same thing, what if I do want to be really competitive at national level? I can't have a bench that's 50 pounds below my potential, because that means I'm going to have to add 50 more to my deadlift or something to make up for it. Okay, there comes a point where that's simply not feasible. You got to maximize everything. So in my case, I'm doing that, prioritizing it. But for all of you out there who want to be really strong, it's the same thing. And a lot of you guys who want to be strong, a lot of guys want to be strong just to be more developed. They want to be more jacked in it, but it's all the same thing, isn't it? It's all the same thing. In my case, why is my bench weak? Well, because my pecs need more work. It's a muscular issue. It's a size issue. Probably my triceps too. My triceps need work. I do a lot of tricep work, but they could be bigger. So what does that tell you? That if you're weak at something, you're probably leaving a lot of muscular development on the table. Because it's not lack of technique. It's not lack of maxing. I max all the time on a variety of lifts. So it's not a skill issue. It's not that I don't know how to press or strain. That I have muscle weaknesses. And if we have muscle weaknesses, it means we have hypertrophy weaknesses. Okay, so you guys who are chasing the gains need to factor in that the lifts you're weakest at are also indicative of weak muscular development. And we have weak muscular development. You're going to be smaller than your potential. You're going to have a risk of higher injury at your potential, because muscle imbalances can lead to injury. In fact, having imbalanced muscles usually means also weak connective tissue for those muscles. Well, that's what gets us into trouble. That's what gets us into trouble. And why do we do the things that we're good at and avoid the stuff that we suck at? This is a normal human tendency. That's our nature. We tend to enjoy the things that we are good at. If we're good at something, it boosts our self-esteem to do more of it, right? Because we're good at it. A lot of things we do like this, we do because we want to feel better about ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. Look, doing something positive and constructive to feel better about yourself is actually a really good tool to make you a better person. Like it is. There's nothing wrong with that. If you find anything that's constructive and useful and self-improving that being good at makes you feel good, that'll tend to turn you into just a better person all the way around. Because people who feel good about themselves and feel good about doing stuff that's constructive and positive, that tends to spread to other people. They just tend to be more positive people in general. They tend to be more helpful people in general. Right? It makes you a better person. But if you're trying to get really good at things, you have to set that aside and look at what you don't like to do. And why do we not like to do things? Because we suck at them. Okay? Nobody wants to feel like they suck at something. And so when we suck at something, what do? We devalue it. We devalue it. In my case, we'll say something like, well, the bench press doesn't matter. It's a bro lift. It's an upper body only lift. Only half the body is tested for strength. It's not even a true test of strength. And those are good arguments. But we know that we're going to be judged on it. We know it's a competitive lift, and we know it represents a very significant amount of muscle in your upper body. Now, people do the same stuff with leg stuff, don't they? I don't care about squat. I don't care about my legs. Girls don't care about legs, bro. Yeah, they actually do, believe it or not. Your glutes and legs, women will notice that. They will notice. If they notice your chest and arms, they will notice your lack of legs, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Women joke about it. They talk about it. For you guys who lift, the guy with the bird legs and the big arms. I've heard women joke about it. So you're not doing yourselves any favors there. Train your legs. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be fitter. But because it's hard and because we're bad at it, and people who generally started out training just their upper body, just is fairly common, guys. I get it. They tend to be bad at squats. And because they're bad at them and they're hard, and it makes them feel weak and makes them feel like they suck, they don't want to do it. And it doesn't have to be that. It could be the overhead press. It could be the deadlift. It could be whatever. But you need to do the things that you're bad at. If you want to be truly strong and you want to be well developed, you have to prioritize the stuff that you are worst at. You have to. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.